10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And live, it is the Competition Plus Power Hour. Yours truly, Monday Morning Racer, Lee Kraft, coming in hot along with Darren Williams Jr. I got to write that down. See, it's over there.
Hey,
there.
You guys, he was warming that up in the green room right before he went live. He was warming that up. What's up, Lee?
Oh, man, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to talk drag racing. So much in the world of drag racing to talk about. Honestly, we could go on well beyond 2 hours. There is so much to talk about. There's so much to cover, and we're going to try to hit a lot of those points tonight. Definitely the NHRA dominates many of the storylines, but there were championships decided this past weekend across the board in drag racing, whether that was front engine dragsters or altereds or funny cars or door cars. A lot of championships were decided. And all of that is going down right now in drag racing. We have rules implications, and there's DQs, and there are landmark moments that will probably never be eclipsed in drag racing, honestly, that we were able to witness and see broke. So much in drag racing to cover. Where do we even begin, Mr. Williams?
Man, that's a great question. Well, first off, welcome everybody to the Competition Plus Power Hour. It is Tuesday night. We're ready to talk drag racing. I think the only right way to go is because, make sure to like and share this show. Make sure to share. Everybody go out there, make sure to share this show. Hey, we're talking everything in the world of drag racing. Doesn't matter if it's Nitro Chaos, NHRA, SIFCA, we're talking about it all. But Lee, I think where we start at is where we saw history this past weekend. Mike Salinas in that Valley Services Scrappers top fuel dragster with Rob Flynn at his services as the crew chief becomes the first driver in the Phillips Connect 300 mile per hour to the 8th club. How about that? We finally saw it this past weekend. It happened at the Bellagio of Drag Strips, Z Max Dragway, Saturday night under the lights. It was amazing. Alan Reinhart on the call. He couldn't believe it. It was awesome, man.
Who was that crew chief?
Rob Flynn.
What do I say?
Rob Flynn was not the problem.
Rob Flynn was not the problem, making history out there with Mike Salinas. He drove that thing. People are like, can Mike drive? Sashaying everywhere, sashay straight as arrow, whatever. Doesn't matter. He went 300 miles per hour in the 8th mile.
And Lee, guess what? Before we keep going, we actually have that video just for all the viewers at home. Let's play that. Let's cue it up.
How about 364 at 338 miles an hour? Mike Salinas just went 300 to the 8th. The first driver ever to go 300 miles an hour at the 8th mile, and he is going to pick up the Phillips Connect bonus. 2.93 seconds, 300 miles an hour at the 8th mile. That's worth cash from Phillips Connect. Congratulations to the Scrappers team down there. That's a milestone everybody's been chasing, and they just got it.
So it was 31 years ago that the quarter mile, 300 mile an hour barrier was broken by Kenny Bernstein, and you just did it in an eighth of a mile. What are your thoughts about that, buddy?
Well, we've been working on something. We got a bunch of things we've been working on. We've been close 3 or 4 times in testing, never in competition. Red Line Oil did it. Red Line Oil, Valley Recycling, Valley Services. It is awesome. These are the things that we're out here for. Pleasanton Ready Mix, Adams Pools, love you guys. This is what it's all about right there. Amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
31 years ago, the Budweiser King, you see him right there, the Budweiser King, 301 at Gainesville, 1992. 31 years later, Mike Salinas does it in half the distance. That is amazing.
660 feet shorter.
It's amazing.
Gets it done, 300 miles per hour.
And like he said in his interview, he said, we've been close quite a few times in testing. This isn't surprising that it came from Mike Salinas. Everybody thought, maybe it'll be Brittany or maybe it'll be, Justin or somebody like that. But when Mike laid down that 338 mile per hour blast at Brainerd in round number 2, he's been running some big time speeds lately since then.
Yes.
And so to see him do that again is not surprising whatsoever. And man, I'll tell you what, you forget that he went to the #1 qualifying spot with that as well, 364, 338. But man, history Saturday night and another record broken in the NHRA.
Stole the show for sure. And really, we witnessed something that when it comes to fuel racing with top fuel dragsters, there might not be much of a milestone left out there for that. For that, yeah, that's it. I think that's about it.
I can't think of nothing else. I doubt they're gonna let these guys go 350. Like that ain't happening. I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that is certainly pushing the limitations of
Yes.
parts, tires, facilities, most of the facilities. But, you know, if they uncork the bottle, certainly I think just about anything's capable, because there was a day and time that 250 miles per hour was said, no, it's never going to happen. There was a day and time 300 miles per hour. No, it's not going to happen. And now we have 300 miles per hour in half the distance.
Yeah.
And to put that in perspective, I witnessed Mitch King this past weekend be #1 qualifier at Nitro Chaos in a top fuel dragster, legitimate top fuel dragster. He goes 340 elapsed time at 244 miles per hour in the 8th mile. That's nuts in itself.
Yeah.
And to tack on 60 more miles per hour. Just what?
Hey, I'll tell you what, just from that clip we saw, Mike Salinas, he was hauling the mail. Like I'm pretty sure that thing set him back in the seat. He was like, hang on, baby. And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of other guys, because Antron Brown went 299 miles per hour to the 8. There's a lot of guys who were also close to that session, but just Rob Flynn, Mike Salinas, they hit it in the right places. That's what she said. And yeah, they just, they got the job done. So man, what an awesome job by Mike Salinas, the whole Scrappers Racing team. And
sorry to stop your flow there, but can we just also say to the people of ZMAX Dragway, NHRA, the Safety Safari, yeah, there was nothing to worry about that motocross track, apparently.
Oh yeah, it was never any worry, Yeah,
I cannot believe the chatter that was created about them in a multi-use facility having that, and people clamoring about, oh, there's a national event 2 to 3 weeks. What will they do? We get the 300 miles per hour in the 8th run. How about that?
Yeah. And, NHRA Safety Safari, they always go in a few days before the national event start. They prep the track. They do a great job of prepping the track. I never thought that was going to be an issue whatsoever. Not at all.
Well, so many did. And if you're out there and you did, sit down and shut up. And there's a lot of you also, when we get to other points this show, you really need to sit down and shut up. Wow, did the ignorance come out on the comment section this week from NHRA drag racing and beyond. Oh.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more ignorant comments of another driver and top alcohol dragster that we're going to get into in just a little bit. But just my final thing on this Mike Salinas deal, and just not even Mike Salinas, the whole performance as a whole for NHRA this past weekend. You can ask for a better start to the countdown to the championship. With the performance we saw in Maple Grove last weekend, these guys backed it up big time here this past weekend at the Bellagio of drag strips, ZMAX Dragway. The performance, the big time runs. We saw, the quickest runs of the seasons in both Top Fuel and Funny Car. Those 382s that Matt Hagan and Robert Height laid down, were astronomical. Bob Taskell with the quickest Funny Car run for a Ford ever with that 383. These guys came to play. This is what big time championship drag racing is all about. And I know a lot of people don't like the countdown, but just look at the intensity, the drama, just everything is bringing now to NHRA drag racing right now. It felt like during the regular season, we're really sputtering our wheels for quite a while, but now everything matters. And it's a fun time right now in NHRA drag racing.
It certainly is, man. I would echo everything that you just stated. Those that are still out there in comment section saying drag racing at the NHRA level is boring, we're not watching the same drag race, apparently.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting it. The round 1 exits that we saw in the classes, big upsets, and people getting round wins that they hadn't had in a long time. People going to semifinals that they had never been to in whatever class they're in. You have Greg Anderson picking up the win and changing the scenario there in Pro Stock and the narrative. Matter of fact, how about we go ahead and do a rundown of the points? I know you uploaded them. Let's see where people have stacked up after the wins. And there are certainly some teams at this moment, they have no more mulligans. They have got to have a superb countdown from here on out. They have no more room for error. And then you've got those that have done so well, they could stumble next event or the event after that, and we still have them in the dogfight.
Yeah, and I did not name these when I uploaded them, so I'm just click on one and we'll just go from there. So starting off with first off, obviously top fuel eliminator, and how about it, Lee? Doug Coletta. It took him 3 years. It took him 3 years to win a race. Now he can't lose. Back-to-back wins.
I haven't looked at the points till right now. This was going to be a surprise to me because I was covering Nitro Chaos. But Doug Coletta in a points lead again.
It's been a while, but he's leading the points. And, obviously still a lot more racing left, a lot more rounds, a lot more points still out there. But a 63-point lead, and that's a pretty good after just 2 races. That's a pretty decent lead right now.
What year is it, Darren? What year is it? Is it 2023?
2023.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this. Like I said, there's still a lot more racing left to go here in 2023. But when has AJ ever lost the lead this late in the season? I don't think ever. I'm not saying Doug Colletta's going to win the championship, but it's going to be pretty tough for these guys to get around him. I don't think AJ's ever given up a lead this late.
At the right time. They have turned it on at the right time. And that is built into this countdown system. You do not have to win a ton of races early. You need to win them when it counts, and that is now. And they have went out there back-to-back weekends and picked up Wallies.
No, they have. And then here's the thing about it too. This past weekend in Charlotte, so your top 4 coming into this past weekend in Charlotte, it was Steve Torrance was on top, Justin Ashley I believe was second. Yeah, Justin Ashley was second. Doug Coletta was third, and Leah Pruitt was fourth coming in. Well, they all raced in round number 1. Doug and Steve actually raced in round number 1. Leah and Justin raced in round number 1. Steve and Justin both went out first round. Obviously, like you said, they were up high in the points. So I think you get at least, if you're that high in the points, 1 or 2 coming in, you get at least 1 or 2 mulligans. But after that, it's you pretty much got to be flawless from there. So I think Justin and Steve used up one of their mulligans this past weekend. They pretty much have to be perfect the rest of the way, I think.
I agree. And we're going into a race that, if people recall, last year was that race that turned the countdown on its head, especially in Top Fuel.
You're talking about St. Louis?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Brittany set the speed record round 2, but I tell you what, Antron came in off a win in Charlotte last year, and he went out first round. Last year was the winner's curse. We'll see how this year plays out. But St. Louis, obviously it's known for some big-time runs as well if we get the good conditions. Right now, it's forecast to be a little hotter than expected, so we'll see how it all plays out. 2 back-to-back races where it's cool conditions. Now we're going to a little hotter conditions, and this upcoming weekend could mess this whole thing up. Let's see how it all plays out.
For sure. Hey, before you roll on to the next points board of whichever class pops up, Andrew mentions, he's like, all I know is I better not see Doug in a canopy car again, LOL. Now, I know he's joking, but do you think it's as simple as the chassis change that they are performing this well? I don't think that's the case. I think they had been showing better marked performance all year. They had actually been final round appearances, and now everything is just clicking at the right time and place. But it's not a shock to me, honestly.
No, I don't think it's necessarily the chassis, because they've run some big time numbers in that canopy car as well. But I will say, though, you stick to what's gotten you here, and this car has gotten you back-to-back wins. So I think don't change nothing. Just stick with this car and see.
Yes,
let it ride throughout the rest of the way.
You don't change nothing now. You are rolling that car out. You're setting it up, and you're having the Harry Hog talk. You got to take care of my driver. We're going to go out there and we're going to win again, and we're going to do 3 in a row. Okay, this is not the answer I'm looking for from you. You got to have that talk each and every race now.
What's interesting, though, is that I don't know which car this actually is, whether he ran this, what year he actually ran this car. I don't know if this is last year's car or what, but the fact that they're having this type of success with it now, as opposed to when they couldn't in the years prior, is pretty surprising. But yeah, I think you stick to what's got you here, and stick to what you know, and keep the tide rolling for as long as you can. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, you have to wonder if with the canopy car, what they might have figured out in vehicle dynamics that very well might be playing into this chassis. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah.
But they were figuring something out. They had something, because remember, when he blows the tire at Maple Grove, it wasn't like that was a weak pass. That was one stellar pass in qualifying itself. So they were figuring things out, and they had things figured out. We just hadn't seen a win until Maple Grove. So, yeah, it seems like AJ's back.
Yo, you talk about AJ's back. Not only is he back, this is prime AJ performance right now. This is looking like old school Alan Johnson, U.S. Army Tony Schumacher days, where it's like they're just running roughshod over the rest of the class. Like maybe not that bad, but you talk about the. So here's the thing: Doug Coletta, 360s all throughout eliminations in Maple Grove. That felt like old school Alan Johnson, right? U.S. Army days, Alan Nobby days, when Alan Johnson was at his prime. They come to Charlotte. Number one qualifier until Mike Salinas took it away with a 65 up 66. Big time numbers in round number one. Then they go in the heat, right? Round two in the semifinals, back to back. When everybody was struggling, smoking the tires, cylinders out. What does AJ do? Brian Houston too. Got to give a lot of credit to Brian Houston. Back to back 374s in the heat in the second round in the semifinals. Slipped it on down through there. And when you got that cloud cover again in the final round, 369. Man, this is prime AJ right now. He's on his game. He's feeling it. He's in a groove.
They are certainly rolling into St. Louis with the big momentum. What's next?
Also, before we do that, got to give a lot of credit to Brian Houston as well. Can't forget his name. Next up, we got Pro Stock Motorcycle. Gage Herrera is back on top. Remember, he lost the points lead after Maple Grove to Matt Smith. Well, he beat Matt Smith in round number 2, took back the points lead, and he's up by 52 now with 4 to go.
You know, look at who is third. No shock. When he announced that he was coming back in the class full time, everyone knew he was going to be a championship threat, and there he is in a very, very close race, first, second to third in this countdown. No shock that Hector Arana Jr. is doing well and is a threat. But I look at this, and if we don't have soon Gage, Matt, Hector have slip ups, they're going to separate themselves from the rest of this field very quickly.
No, I agree. And here's the thing, I'm not saying Matt Smith or Hector Runner Jr. is out of it, but I don't think they can literally go toe to toe with Gage Herrera. I just don't think that. We saw that this past weekend in Charlotte. Matt Smith, he pretty much struggled. Well, we don't know if he struggled. We don't know if he was playing the ladder game, trying to get Gage early, or if he actually struggled. But Chip Ellis and Angie Smith, they had better bikes than Matt this past weekend. And like I said, Matt and Gage went at it round number 2, and Gage was another dominant weekend. Low ET, top speed, number 1 qualifier. I think the only one that could beat Gage Herrera is Gage Herrera if he stumbles. I think, if he can continue what he's done the rest of the season, we could see Gage lock this up after Vegas, in my opinion.
Certainly possible.
Definitely. And also for Hector Runner Jr., another solid weekend making it to the final round. It's just, I hate that he's giving away these races. I know he's trying his best, but 3 consecutive races where he's turned on the red light. 2 of them have come in the final round, red light at the U.S. Nationals, final round in the red light in the final round this past weekend. Hector has a great bike. He's a great driver. Just wish he had stopped turning on the red light, so often.
He'll work it out.
He will. And then we move on to the gear jamming, door slamming, pro, stock, car, and Greg Anderson. He gets the win, 102nd of his career. But here's the thing. I think Matt Harford is Greg Anderson's best friend right now, or Greg Anderson is Matt Harford's best friend right now, because Greg beat Erica in the semifinals, and if Erica would have won, she would have took the points lead. Now, it's only still 4 points, but Matt Harford's still in the lead with 4 to go.
It is certainly tightening up with pro stock, and when you have a field that is so competitive. Troy Coughlin Jr. could go win a race. Aaron Stanfield could go win a race. Derek Kramer can win a race. Kyle Koretsky can win a race. Camry Caruso can win a race. Everyone we're looking at right there that we've got listed, they are a threat to win each and every weekend. Consistency and driving with perfection at this point is critical in that class if you're going to win the championship. And right now, Matt's on it.
No, for sure. And one guy I'm also looking at is Dallas Glenn. Obviously, he was on the show a couple weeks ago. Tough first-round loss at the Countdown season opener in Maple Grove last weekend, or 2 weeks ago now. Nice bounce-back weekend for him. Got to the final round. Unfortunately, fell just short to his teammate Greg Anderson, but Dallas Glenn is back in this fight, only 15 points out. And, man, pro stock right now, it's looking amazing. You see the top 3 drivers only separated by less than a round of racing. Greg Anderson, he's back in this fight, only 61 points out. Lee, if you had to bring back the do or done line, where are you putting it in pro stock?
Ooh, bring back the do or done line in pro stock. I would have to, at this point, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to put it right in front of Kyle Koretsky. So Derek Kramer's safe right now, but he's got to have a good St. Louis.
I got you. If it was me, if I was a betting man, I hate to put it under Troy Coughlin Jr. because I want to keep Aaron Stanfield in here, but still winless on the season. Not saying he can't win a race, but just going off of the results we've seen this season, I put it under Troy Coughlin Jr., the top 5 with 4 to go. That's where I'm putting it.
It's a good spot. Aaron Stanfield, though he is 6th right now, is a pro stock competitor that just surprised he has not had a better year, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's still getting the job done in factory stock showdown and everything like that. But unfortunately, it just goes to show how tough it is in pro stock this year, man. It's cutthroat in the factory hot rod division.
It is.
And finally, Nitro Funny Car, the floppers. Robert Height, he's still on top, 25 points out. But Bob Tasca, he's lurking there in second. Ron Capps, who went out first round in Charlotte this past weekend. That's one of those mulligans we were talking about. He's 3rd. Matt Hagan 4th, and Chad Green rounds out the top 5. Funny Car, man, it's pretty tight in that class as well.
Funny Car, certainly it is tight. Bob Tasca right now looking like, well, a championship contender unlike he's ever looked. Look, I understand there has been performance in the past, and he has given glimpse in the past that, hey, he could make a run for a championship, but it then very quickly noses off. Right now, though, he looks like he is the best I think he has ever been, and at the right time. And that's what's critical. You can get hot in the summer. He's been hot in the summer before, rolling the countdown. Where is Bob Tasca? He's hot when it counts, and that's right now.
And I'll tell you what, the performance we saw this past weekend at ZMAX Dragway, that 383 he laid down in Q2 on Saturday afternoon, the quickest Ford Funny Car run in the history of drag racing. They've shown they have the performance. And here's the thing, like you said, we saw the quickest runs of the season. Robert Height with that 382.4, Matt Hagan with the 382.5. I mean, we're getting close to layback header times now. Like this is, hey, they are flying right now in Nitro Funny Car. But Bob Tasca has shown he can run right with the best of them with that 383 and 3 wins on the season. And who would have thought with Mike Neff and John Schaefer leaving at the end of last season, I think a lot of us thought, hey, Bob Tasca might be a non-factor here in 2023. At least I did, but they've definitely proven us wrong. I've always been a fan of Aaron Brooks. We all know Todd Okahara is a mastermind on a Nitro car. They worked great together, and they've put themselves in championship contention with 4 races left to go.
They have. And Robert Height.
Revenge tour,
and doing it differently. Last year was complete domination except for a championship. And this year, right now, he's leading the points. I know not by a great amount, but leading the points. And overcoming, I think, this year, while now leading some adversity that they might not have had last year if you look at it overall. I mean, man, what a boomer right off the line in qualifying. I assume on Friday night, if I remember correctly.
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah, Friday night. Certainly that made the highlights. You don't see that often in modern day drag racing, something like that. It looked like straight circa 1980 in that moment, blowing it right at the hit. And I don't know. I like the all black Cornwell body. I thought it looked pretty good.
Have you noticed John Force Racing has done this in the past? If you go back to, I know Robert's done it before in the Auto Club when it was the Auto Club Ford. John Force has done it when it was the Castro GTX Ford. And remember 2010 when John Force was in that great championship battle with Matt Hagan. After he went out first round in Reading, they was like, hey, let's strip the paint off it, make it a little lighter. And they came to Vegas with an all-black stealth car with that 25th anniversary Castro GTX sponsorship on it. And what did they do? Went out and win the championship. So Team Force has done this before, and it's worked well for them in the past. For Robert Height, though, like you mentioned, a career year last year, 8 wins, just fell short of the championship. Ron Capps with that amazing comeback in Pomona. They start off the season with 2 wins, Phoenix and Charlotte, but then they kind of fell off. Do you think that was more so, hey, we were completely dominating last season. We fell short. Let's make sure we're at our best when it really matters. Do you think that was kind of like the strategy this year for them?
I would not be shocked. That that's the case. And why not? Right now, you look at the system. What is the system? How is it set up? It placates to let me pad my place in the standings and let me test all year. Why not?
And what they do, they went 383 in testing at Brainerd on that Monday.
Oh, yes. It was blistering.
And he shut off early too, right?
It was blistering, yes. And that's just like Tony Schumacher later on doing well. he did a 371, if I remember correctly, in testing. So, yeah, that Brainerd test, go back and look at some footage. I need to go back and look at my own footage. It was quite an interesting test on what people were able to do. And you can look at that test and look at things now, and you can see performance and see the people that are leading the way.
And here's the thing, testing is over now. Like for Doug Coletta and that whole team, for Robert Height and that whole team, they're getting hot at the right time. They're showing like, hey, we've had this for a long time. We're showing it right now, and this is the time to get hot. And I just think for Robert, that heartbreak last year, I think, I don't think he's going to try to hold on. They're going to try and go out and try to, be as, try to lay down as bad as times as they can throughout the rest of the year. But I just think, 25-point lead, 4 races left to go, revenge tour. It's like, man, I really feel like, and it was a mini hole shot, but I feel like, that's one he's going to look back on like, man, we should have got that round. We had the better car. We had a great car. Because remember last year, Las Vegas, final round against Matt Hagan, fall race, they lost that round. If Robert Height would have closed the deal in Vegas, he wins the championship because Ron Capps does not beat Cruz in the final round. Capps would have needed that Capps would have needed that final round win over Cruz to win the championship. And if so, he would not have won that because Cruz has had a badass race car that year. So it just goes to show that every round in the countdown counts.
Every round counts. You cannot go out round one. And we've got people at this point in the game, they cannot afford to go out round two. They need to be making semifinals if they want to win this championship. So, good time as fans and as media. We get to cover all of these things. And there's a whole lot more we have got to discuss, but it's time, Darren, that we begin to transition in the show and get our first guest on. The first guest of the night is going to be Mrs. Christie Meyer Johnson, the lady over the Texas Motorplex these days. And then we will have Chris King on, a funny car driver in the NHRA ranks. He will be running at St. Louis. So we will be chatting with him, his program, and just the challenges of being an independent guy with an independent team trying to make it out there in the fuel ranks. The Stampede of Speed, very quickly, Darren, what do you think about it?
It's awesome, man. I went to the very first one in 2021, and I tell you what, I didn't go to the actual Stampede of Speed, but I went to the Fall Nationals, and just everything that they brought. Hey man, everybody can tour, do the whole tour like you can. I actually have a full-time job, so I can't, I can only get out when I can. I'm joking, but I came out to the first one, and I'll tell you what, it was so cool. What an experience. It really was. It wasn't just a race. It was an event, everything they put on with it. And one thing I'll never forget is because my dad and my sister, they actually own horses. Like they're into that whole deal and everything like that. And to see the woman with the flag during the national anthem, right before the national anthem, ride down on her horse with the American flag, I thought that was so cool. The flyover, just everything they brought with it. The Friday night, showdown they had with the, the fireworks and the top speed money. I mean, it was a really cool deal. And unfortunately,
sitting on the saddle,
yeah,
waiting to get knocked off. I love it.
And remember, we were there till like 1 a.m. on Friday night because everybody kept blowing up. It was
yes.
That was an experience, man. But unfortunately, the NHRA Heritage Series wants to schedule the season finale of that race the same weekend as Dallas. So it's like, I mean, come on, man. Got to do better.
I don't know what people are thinking.
Got to do better. Got to do better.
I don't know. We're talking about the same group that's got Nostalgia Top Fuel, though, too. Oh, no, excuse me. Now, we're going to move on in the show. We're going to thank Weldon Pumps. They pump the show up. We're going to take a break and transition to having our first guest on. Christie,
hey guys.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back. It's good to see you guys as always.
Good to see you again. Good to have you on the show. And what an epic show the Texas Motorplex is going to have once again in the Stampede of Speed, which is roughly 2 weeks away. We cannot wait to be there, and I know you all cannot wait to host everything that is involved. what on the docket is exciting you that is new this year that we can experience at the Stampede of Speed?
Well, I think we're bringing back a lot of the fan favorites, and we have a lot of fun things planned. But one of the most exciting things, I think, we have a couple. One is bringing in the Jegs All-Stars and adding that into the event. They will be there Thursday and Friday, and then the winner will be crowned on Saturday. They'll get their cowboy hat. So they get to be a part of this awesome experience. And then another thing we're doing this year that is new, we're having 2 drone shows. One we're having at the concert the first weekend of the Stampede, and the second one we're having during our Friday Night Live performance on October the 13th. So Friday, the October 13th, maybe, hopefully it's not as long of a qualifying session as last time you were there, Darren, but, we're looking forward to some really neat things that we're trying to do just to bring more excitement and give the fans an incredible experience, because like you guys said, we're trying to make this an incredible event to showcase Texas, to showcase drag racing, and to introduce a new fan to the sport.
Well, Christie, I got to tell you, I had no problem being there till 2 a.m. in the morning on Friday night qualifying. It felt like an old school Nitro session from back in the early 2000s.
Man.
Like, that was really fun. But a drone
It
show,
was
that's
a
really
long
cool.
one, though. Yeah, so we're
long.
trying to bring in some new things. So we have our typical Friday Night Live. We'll have qualifying under the lights. We'll have the battle for the saddle that you guys mentioned for the low ET. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole event, is seeing the guys, fight for that saddle and then get in the flex and come down the track to get that briefcase of money. It's a really fun night. But during that event, we're having, just like the previous few years, we've had the jet cars, but this year we're adding in the drone show, fireworks. We're also having a group called the Busted Knuckles. They are some trick Harley Davidson riders. They will be there all day Friday doing some tricks down the return road in between rounds and doing some performances. So, we're just trying to do things to, give the fans something extra. Obviously the show is the cars and there's drivers, but, can't ever have too much, right?
Can never have too much. Keep piling it on, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I know we are a drag racing show, but this event is beyond drag racing. It is truly a festival. Some big names lining the country music side of things this time around. Like I think Midland. Wow, I know the name of that group, but I don't know country music that well anymore. I've gotten older and don't know, I don't like Jelly Roll. I admit I have no clue. I just,
you don't like bro country, dude?
What, Darren?
You don't like bro country?
What is that, Darren?
The newer country, the stuff you hear on the radio.
Yeah.
I like it.
No. Well, okay. We're going to let Christie talk. We're not going to hash that out right now.
I got
the
you.
lineup for the concert, big names.
Yeah, we're really excited. Saturday, the concert, the whole Stampede of Speed kicks off on October the 6th, and we kick off with our cattle drive in downtown Waxahachie, and we get to drive the cattle, around town. People get to come watch, and we get to tell everybody about the race. And then we have the first night with Scott Palmer doing his big show. And like you said, then Saturday and Sunday, October 7th and 8th, we will have our Country Music Festival, Stars of Texas. This year we have a 90s country day on Saturday. So we have names Clay Walker, Black Hawk, we have Ricochet, we have Sawyer Brown. So we're really excited about Saturday. And then Sunday is your more modern country with Midland, Ian Munsick, Wade Bowen, Tyler Halverson, and William Beckman. And so, those are incredible names from the past and the present. And not only are we having the concerts both days, we will have bull riding both days. We will have on Saturday a professional cornhole tournament. We will have on Sunday a professional barbecue cook-off where the fans can be a part of the judging. And then on Saturday is the drone show, and Sunday is the lantern release during the concert. But the best part, I think, is the most exciting part of this, and the reason we're doing this concert is to introduce fans to drag racing. We are having what we call the Texas Invitational, and it is a chance for all of these fans that are coming to see this concert to see drag racing. So we'll have Funny Car, we'll have Top Fuel, we'll have some junior dragsters, and then we will also have jet cars. And last year during the concert, we had as many people in the grandstands for this exhibition race as we do on a Friday night at Fall Nationals that just wanted to see the cars go down the track. And as soon as that was over, then they went back into the concert venue. So we're really excited to showcase, what we do best, and then also be able to celebrate Texas with all these great people coming in from all over the country.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, I've got the video evidence from last year of those cars running right before the concert and even in intermission of the concert, and people going, what did I just see? What did I just experience? What did I just hear? And was able to talk to several people. I remember a young couple, they lived in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but they had never been to the drag strip. They came for the concert. They were familiar with drag racing, but had never been to drag racing and to experience it. And they were like, what just happened? And how fast do they go? How can we experience it? They weren't actually going to be in the area the very next weekend, but they were interested after experiencing it. And we say so often with drag racing, people have to experience it to really get hooked. And once you've experienced it, well, most people come back.
Absolutely. I agree. Just seeing someone experience drag racing for the first time is one of my favorite things. I love to take my friends down to the starting line when they come for the first time. 2 years ago, one of my best friends came and her hat literally blew off her head. It was so much like power. And I have it on video, and it's one of my favorite videos because it's hysterical to see people's first experience, literally the baptism by Nitro. So, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring these people back for the next weekend. We want to have a sellout crowd at the Fall Nationals. And right now we are in a really good place, and we are really believing that we have the potential for a sellout. Ticket sales are doing perfect. I mean, they're doing incredible. We are, just really excited about what we're seeing out there right now.
And this is kind of a question for kind of both of you guys. Do you think that's kind of like the formula now to grow the sport of drag racing or any motorsport, is to bring other outside entertainment that really appeals to other people that maybe not be into drag racing, bring that to the drag racing world and see if you can make a fan out of them that way?
I mean, I think so. It's interesting because I live in Austin, so I see, what goes on at COTA all the time. And I think what they've done has worked. I mean, if you look at the Daytona Speed Week, you look at the Indy 500, people have events all week long just to promote that one weekend. And I really think it's the new magic potion. I think it really helps. And it's also, obviously we have our core fan and we try to cater to our core fan constantly, but really and truthfully, what we're trying to do is introduce that next generation and just, try to grow the sport. So this is one way that we've done now. This is our third year for the concert, and we really think it works. And, we don't plan on stopping it anytime soon. Every year we've added, and each year we're going to continue to grow year over year and try to add more sponsors, more cars, more fans, you name it. We're just trying to grow the sport.
I think it definitely worked last year, and it was a great way to showcase what drag racing is to so many people who, I mean, you can kind of tell, look, they're not drag racing fans. They're there for the music, but they experience it. They also now know where the property is. So there's familiarity. It's that much easier to go back and experience. And, talking about the crossing of platforms, I mean, look at it. What happened with the NFL? I mean, I'd hate to bring it up, but you mentioned, Darren, I mean, think about it. Kelsey, Taylor Swift, I mean, his jersey sales went up 400%.
Oh, I believe
and
it.
do you think those jerseys are being bought by like diehard NFL fans? I doubt it. I'd imagine they're Taylor Swift fans. And they're like, oh, she's dating this guy. Let me go get his jersey. So cross-pollinating, it works.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Absolutely. And we're seeing, go ahead, Darren. I'm sorry.
No, you got it, Christy. I'm sorry. You got it.
Oh, I was just saying, we're seeing that with the rodeo world, with PBR, with Scott Palmer. And, we're really seeing some, obviously we're having 2 bull ridings. We're having a junior bull riding on Saturday. That is a qualifier for the Junior World Finals in Vegas in December. And then Sunday is our professional bull riding. So we're seeing this incredible crossover with the fan. And so we're trying to do everything we can to capture, I mean, bull riding is an extreme sport. Drag racing is an extreme sport. It's very interesting to see, the fan loves it. And so we're just trying to capture as many people as we can.
And obviously this is the 3rd year of the Stampede of Speed, and it's been successful every year. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be successful once again here in 2023. And I know you guys start planning not long after the Fall Nationals is over for you, and your father and the whole Texas Motorplex staff, to be planning for a full year and to put things on paper and then to see it actually, actually play out in reality. How cool is that actually?
I mean, it's hard to even explain in words. You know, just the hard work that our team puts in. We couldn't do it without each person on our team. We're extremely fortunate to have people that are dedicated. We have people on our staff that have been there most of my life. You know, most businesses can't say that anymore, but we're really a family, and we work so hard together. We planned for a year in advance, and to get to this point now, today is our 10-day out countdown, and to get to this point and know, you know, everything we've accomplished it's really incredible, and it's a blessing. You know, I mean, not a lot of people get to do what we do, and we understand it's not just something to take for granted. We're very blessed. We're very fortunate. It's the best job in the world. I mean, we get to do things that nobody could ever dream of doing, and we're so grateful that we get to do it for the fan and for the sponsor and for the racer, so people can come out and have a great family friendly opportunity to hang out with their loved ones and their friends. And you know, for me, it's really neat to be able to do it with my dad and my husband and my kids and my mom. You know, it's a family thing for us, and it almost makes me teary just because, you know, people don't have this opportunity every day. So I'm super grateful. I'm really proud of our team. We've worked really hard. We have grown. You know, we've learned a lot, and every year we're going to continue to learn and do better and strive to always, you know, do our best and provide this awesome opportunity for people to come kick back and enjoy 10 days of all things Texas.
It is certainly a good time, and I've been able to experience both of them in just about their full capacity, and looking forward to this year once I get done with St. Louis regional coverage. But in the interior of the week, if you will, let's look at some of those events that are going on. I understand there's a celebrity media race. You've got the can drive thing going on again, and the Nitro sideshow with Scott Palmer, and then testing with the pros on Wednesday again, all of that. So what can fans experience in the days leading up to the Fall Nationals after the concert scenario?
Absolutely. So like I said, we kick off with Scott Palmer and the cattle drive. Cattle drive is at noon on Friday, the 6th, and then we roll into racing that night with Scott Palmer. And Scott, you never know. With Scott, he always has incredible things up his sleeve. We'll have fuel cars there. We're having some small tire cars. It's just a good time to come out, and it's your first opportunity to experience drag racing, just as, you know, kind of let it whet your appetite for the next weekend. We have a meal deal that night for families, so they can come out and have good food at a good price and just enjoy time with their family. And also that night is our canned food drive, and it's a battle between the city of Ennis and Waxahachie. So if you bring canned goods, you get $10 off your ticket. And then we're trying just to, you know, feed the community and the county. So it's a competition between those two cities, and whoever wins gets, you know, their name on the wall at the track for the next year. So that's on Friday. Obviously, the concert is Saturday and Sunday. And then, like you mentioned, Monday is our a celebrity media event. So we're bringing out media personnel to introduce them to the sport of drag racing, and bringing out some drivers, having some different celebrities from the local area. And they get to come and they get to get out on the track, race each other, have lunch, and just kind of introduce these media personalities to the sport. And then Monday afternoon, a great opportunity for the fan is our first ever fan warm-up. So 500 people, the first 500 to sign up on our link at stampedespeed.com, will get the opportunity to come through the staging lanes and down the track, do a burnout, go down the track, get a time slip, and say that they warmed up the track for the pros coming up this weekend. So that's a new opportunity that we have. And every single ticket purchased for that day, they will all go towards the Race to Feed food drive. So not only will we provide the canned foods and goods coming to Scott Palmer Night, we'll also donate the proceeds from this day to the fan drive. So that is Monday. Tuesday, we have our 3rd annual Stampede Shootout, top sportsman, top dragster. It's a fun night, really relaxed, just a good night to go out and see some drag racing. And then Wednesday's a big day for us, and it's a super fun day. I know you got to be there last year, Lee. It was really nice being able to have you there interviewing and being on the red carpet. But Wednesday is our champions dinner. All day long on Wednesday, we'll have professional testing. The cheap ticket, come in, you see the pros warming up and getting ready for the weekend. And then we end the day with our champions dinner. This year we have 15 right now already, previous winners from the Fall Nationals the last 37 years that have RSVP'd. So not only will we have last year's 4 winners, but we will have 11 more previous winners, and hopefully more continue to RSVP. And so it's a beautiful dinner, Q&A with the last year's winners. Every person that purchases a ticket gets to take a picture with the 4 winners from last year. I don't know, where else you could get that. And then after dinner, we have a surprise party out on the lawn, live music, cigar rolling. We have a tequila tasting and some extra little surprises for all the people that come to the dinner. And so that's a pretty special night. We really are looking forward to that. And then Thursday is our, it's the first day of the Fall Nationals, and we get to kick it off with JEGS All-Stars. That not only do we have, our normal Stampede of Speed and Fall Nationals, we have the JEGS All-Stars now. So that's an exciting opportunity for them to come and to be a new addition to the whole 10 days. And then we have our Fan Fest. And this year's Fan Fest, I think, will be, we said last year ours was the largest Fan Fest ever, and I think in history of some NHRA events with the amount of drivers we had. But this year it's going to double in the amount of drivers, because we're going to have the professional drivers and the JEGS All-Stars there signing autographs. So that's in downtown Waxahachie, and we will have live music. We will have lots of food trucks and bounce houses for the kids, and just an opportunity to bring your family out and meet some drivers. So we're pretty excited about that. So that's that's the big events we have leading up to the actual Fall Nationals. So we're pretty pumped.
Wow.
You all should be. What a full docket. And Darren, were you there for the Fan Fest last year?
I was behind the screen helping you out with your show during Between the Slicks.
Really?
Yeah, you were running your show Between the Slicks, and I was running the controls, helping you do your show.
But where were you?
I was at home.
But so you weren't in Texas?
No, I didn't go
He
last year. I
came
went the
2
year
years-
before.
Yeah,
2 years ago. Yes.
I remember meeting you, Darren.
Yeah. That's a problem, Darren. You should have been there. Because it is an absolutely epic Fan Fest. Yes, look, what you all have done with that Fan Fest has really spurred on some other Fan Fests. Like Josh Hart had a great Fan Fest this year at his facility just down the road from Gainesville, Florida, and where the Gator Nationals is held. But if y'all are making it even bigger and better, like truly, it's going to keep that crown as the top Fan Fest in NHRA. It is spectacular, and one in which you're able to interact with so many different drivers and not just the professional drivers, which is what I really like. And it's a great setting, a great place. It is worth it to get to the Fall Nationals early in that area to check out that Fan Fest.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, it's a pretty fun night for families. It's laid back, good music, great company. There's not many places you can see that many drivers in one place, So it's pretty exciting.
And Lee's right. I should be there because the Texas Motorplex by far is one of my favorite racetracks on the tour. All the history that's happened at that racetrack, I can talk for hours of how much history has happened there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But has the Hall of Fame been announced at all? Any drivers is being inducted into the Hall of Fame yet?
Yes, we have. We actually have 3 this year, so we're pretty excited. On Friday night, Antron Brown will be inducted. He had his first win in Pro Stock Bike there at the Motorplex and has come back to win in Top Fuel too. So we love Antron, and he's such a great champion of the sport. Saturday, we are really excited because we get to honor Daryl Gwynn. He was the very first driver to make a pass down the track in 1986, and he set a record. So, Daryl hasn't been in years, so this is really special to us that he will be there this year. And then on Sunday, we get to honor our dear friend and NHRA volunteer, Mickey Prestridge. Mickey's been a friend of our family for a long time and a friend of the NHRA, and he travels around helping with all the audio. And, he's just personally, for me, he's really impacted my life. He and his wife are just incredible people. So we're very, very honored to get to induct them and, just add them to the Texas Motorplex Legend Hall of Fame.
526, 278, first ever Nitro pass down the Texas Motorplex in 1986. Daryl Gwynn, new national record. He told me that he made sure he was the first Nitro car in the lanes because they wanted to test that new all concrete facility. Epic moment in drag racing. Announced his Budweiser sponsorship right after that in the media center. One of the greatest moments in NHRA history. Absolutely.
So it's huge to have him back. It's been so long, and the relationships we have with people over the decades, with my dad being involved in racing, they're just priceless. And so the people that we've gotten to honor over the years, last year Richard Shute and Dave Dinsmore and Daryl, these people have meant so much to our family for generations. So we're just really excited that he, gets to be a part of history again at the racetrack.
Well, more history will be made at the Texas Motorplex because in the Fall Nationals this year, more championships are going to be decided at the Texas Motorplex than ever before. Some major classes are going to have championships decided in Texas at the Fall Nationals. It's not going to Vegas. It's not going to Pomona. Their season will end in Texas. And that has to be an honor to the Fall Nationals, to the Texas Motorplex, that when people leave in certain classes from the Motorplex, they will be the 2023 champions of their respective class.
Absolutely. We have the sweet spot in the countdown, and, just getting to see people clinch their title at our facility is huge. And, it's a special week, and they get the cowboy hat, and they get, if they win the race, and then, they get to, go home a champion. So it's a pretty special spot we have there in the countdown.
And so obviously, the Fall Nationals is a huge race on the NHRA schedule. And I know Lee was at the regional event at the Texas Motorplex earlier this year in the spring. Obviously, just curious, with, obviously tracks closing on the NHRA tour and, the schedule kind of getting shorter. You guys had 2 races back in the past. Has there ever been any talks of actually bringing back a second race, or are you guys solely focused on having one race, the Stampede of Speed and the Fall Nationals?
We have toyed with the idea. We've talked about it over the years. I can remember the Spring Nationals growing up as a kid. It was always fun, obviously, to have 2 events. So we've gone back and forth, just trying to figure out what would be best for us. Right now, our sole focus is the Stampede of Speed, and then bringing in some other events outside of NHRA. Next year, where we have Texas 2K coming in the spring. We have Funny Car Chaos coming back for their season opener. So, we're really excited about our opportunities we have for the future, but I wouldn't say I'd ever rule it out.
And just a follow-up question to that, we're talking about legends and history of the Texas Motorplex. Well, I think Lee's probably the oldest of all 3 of us here on this panel, so he probably was alive during his time. I don't know, but I'm joking.
Dang,
But
Darren. See, that's unfair because we can't, ask Christie how old are you on air. That's just rude, okay? But
well, I can tell you, I was 2 when the Motorplex was born. When the Motorplex was created in 1986, I was 2. So you can do the math. So I've been around my whole life.
Well, you got that wrong, Darren.
Well, what I'm trying to ask.
I'm the oldest, aren't I?
Look what you just did, Darren.
Hey, you started. I just said you're the oldest.
Shame.
You started.
I don't. It doesn't bother me. It's just getting better and better as I get older and older.
And so obviously, like I said, the Fall Nationals, huge race, so much history. We are on the 35th anniversary of one of the greatest passes. We talk about Mike Salinas first, the 358th. Well, Eddie Hill, 35 years ago, became the first into the 4s at the Texas Motorplex. I know Eddie hasn't been around drag racing a lot in the past decade or so. Has there ever been any talks of trying to get Eddie back out here? Obviously, maybe being in the Texas Motorplex Hall of Fame or just getting back out to the racetrack, or has there ever been any talks there?
We have. We've invited him over the years, and he just kind of seems to be enjoying the retired life and hanging out at home. So maybe one day we'll get him back. Over the years, we've had some, people there that have meant a lot to us, Don Perdone, Don Garlitz, but he would be one that I would love to bring back for sure. It's been a long time.
Everybody, let's get Eddie Hill back to the racetrack. The forefather of drag racing.
Yes, that would be cool for sure.
I'll never forget as a kid sitting up in the stands and watching Ursi, be out there staging him and just that iconic picture of the 2 of them together. So, I would love to have him back.
On some of the business side of matters, you mentioned, Funny Car Chaos, Nitro Chaos, going to do a double. They even will have a tie-in, even festival feel with the solar eclipse that's going to be happening, go right over the Motorplex, prime viewing spot, and Texas 2K, that event's coming in, and you've got the regional. I was there. There's many other events beyond the national event, but I've noticed for tracks that have a national event, there can be a challenge to get that drag racing fan that experiences that to understand what the heck is going on and when to show up and why to show up and what is happening. Do you find that with the Texas Motorplex? Is there a challenge in like marketing and just awareness into the community that, hey, we don't just have the NHRA once a year. There is a lot more going on. And what does it take to rattle the community to get them to come out?
I mean, I do believe we do have that issue. I mean, I would say with our suite holders, they come out to most events. They get to come all year long and see, a large, variety of different events. But our core NHRA fan, it is hard to get them to look into some of these other events we have. Obviously, with Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos, it's very similar. That one has its own incredible following. And then Texas 2K is its own beast. I mean, it's a whole nother, type of racing. And then even Street Outlaws, it's a totally different crowd. And it just blows my mind because it's 2 weeks after the national event, totally different group of people. So that's, one reason this year at the Fall Nationals, we're going to be promoting the Funny Car Chaos event next year, tying it in with the solar eclipse. We'll have a display car there at our welcome center to try to really spur some attention towards that for the spring. We're just trying to do what we can to remind people we're there all year long, racing all year long. And it may not be fuel cars, but there's always excitement going down the track at the Motorplex.
For sure. I want to get one question in real quick before we let you go, Christie. The Mystic, he
Sure.
says, what's their drone show? So I've seen them do this a lot at baseball games now and stuff like that, football games. Just kind of tell everybody what they can expect from the drone show.
Absolutely. So the drone show, we have several hundred drones that will be flying up into the sky and making basically pictures in the sky. So the one on the concert weekend will be very concert related to the country music, very Texas. And then we're excited that the one during Friday night of Fall Nationals will be very race driven. So you'll see some maybe a Christmas tree, some burnouts. And it's a really neat opportunity for fans just to sit there and see something pretty magical in the sky. For us, it's just one more entertainment piece we can provide, just that extra element. You buy your ticket to see drag racing, but you get so much more. Good food, good beer. We are doing some new things this year. We have a beer garden. We have a new executive chef and food director. So great food. So, we're just trying to provide that extra special experience for the fan. So hopefully they enjoy the drone show, and it's just one other element to add to Friday Night Live.
It is a good show. All week long, it is a good show, and you all continue to keep adding and changing and, hey, what works, what doesn't work, and evolving with the feedback that you all get with this program. So thank you for the hard work y'all are putting into the Stampede of Speed and really setting the bar high for the rest of NHRA and in motorsports of what can be done around a motorsports event. You mentioned show in the sky, the lantern release. Like it's a candle and paper. It's like it shouldn't be that impressive, but it is so cool to see that many lanterns go up and light up the sky. It's moving. It is emotional. It's weird how it is. I'm sure the farmers hate it, but it's so cool. It really is.
Yeah. And I will say we clean up immediately after, but it is very emotional. The first time I ever saw it, we actually have one next weekend. We have a lantern release the September 30th, I guess, this Saturday coming up. And then we have the one at the concert the next weekend. But the first time I ever experienced it, it was extremely emotional. And people write messages to loved ones on their lanterns. They write scriptures. It's just a really magical moment. And it's one of those things you get to do with your family and your friends that you just don't ever forget. And that's what we're about at the Motorplex, is making history, which also means making memories. So I set as many records. We also want family to come together and have these incredible memories for a lifetime.
Well, Christie, thank you for your time, and the Stampede of Speed is going to be yet once again memorable in 2023. We can't wait to get there and experience it. Darren, you're going this time, right?
Why does he have to put me on the spot like that? Like, dang, live on air.
How many events have you missed
Live.
this year, Darren? You have told I'm going to be here, Gator Nationals. Nope. I'm going to be at Bristol. Nope, you're not at Bristol. I'm going to be at. You're not there. You didn't show up to Nitro Chaos at Lufkin. You said you're going to be there. Are you going to? You've been saying you're going to be at the Texas Motorplex. So before me, Christie, and the whole drag racing world, are you going to be at the Motorplex?
You see how he just puts me like on the spot, like live on the air, like really, like come on, Lee. There's a guy.
Always an invitation.
There is a guy by the name of Bobby Bennett who is sending me to Bakersfield, California for the season finale of the Heritage Series. Okay,
yeah. that's a hard one to say no to. I understand. I mean, blame the scheduler for that one because it's taking away some of our friends too. So we get it.
If I'm being honest, I'd rather be in Dallas. I'm just being honest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We wish you were here. We'll have a beer for you in your honor, and hopefully you can come next year.
Christie, thank you for your time, and we look forward to being there at the Motorplex. I do, at least, and
I'm excited to see you
experiencing a great Stampede of Speed.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys always, and we'll see you in 10 days, Lee. Hopefully.
We'll see you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Wow, man. Wow. Hey, it's cheaper. Travel is very expensive right now.
Hey,
here's the thing.
Make sure you have your contacts in this time. And you're not driving at night.
Here's the thing, though. So obviously, I'm a big fan of the NHRA Heritage Series. I want to see the season finale at Bakersfield. Bakersfield is an amazing racetrack in Central California. But there's just something about the aura of the Texas Motorplex, that huge tower on the starting line, all the history that's been there, that all concrete facility. Like, man, I've been chomping at the bit to get back to NS Texas and the Motorplex. So hopefully someday in the future. Hate that. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion that I won't make it this year, but hopefully I can get back out there soon. But thank you for
going to get back out there soon. I'm looking forward to it, and I won't be there for the entirety of the event this time around. I will be first covering some regional action at St. Louis. That's my plan, because we've got the national event. Then there's a gap. Well, that gap, filled in between that gap, is also divisional and regional action at St. Louis. Yes, folks, there is a whole other side of NHRA that you don't hardly ever hear about. It's divisionals and regionals. So sportsmen racers will be out there, alcohol, and it plays big into the schedule because you've got people who have already stated they're not going to necessarily claim that race and try to win it for their own points. They're going to try to block other competitors. So it's getting to that time of the year in the alcohol ranks. It gets very fascinating. You're going to see some people at VMP this weekend in regional action that are there. They're probably blocking, and they're not actually trying to earn points themselves toward their world championship effort. So the strategies, they're being played out right now in Top Alcohol Dragster, Top Alcohol Funny Car, and we still got more to talk about in Top Alcohol Dragster for sure. But we're going to talk more Fuel Funny Car with this individual coming up next, Chris King. He drives in the NHRA in the fuel ranks of the Floppers, and I think it's only fitting that we play his commercial on the show, Darren.
Let's do it. Competition Products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All hail, the king is here. Chris King, driver in the NHRA in the Funny Car Fuel ranks. Chris, man, good to have you once again. Good to hear that you're going to be competing in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. Good to see you, Lee. Darren, how you doing, buddy?
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be back out. I thought my season was going to be over after Brainerd, after we blew up that motor, but we put some work in and spent a little bit of money and had some good connections, and we're back out. So I'm excited.
Well, first off, Chris, thank you for taking time out to come here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. I've been a fan of yours since you were on Lee's show about 2 years ago, I believe, on Between Us Legs, and I love your story. Obviously a firefighter jumping into Nitro Funny Car. For people who aren't too familiar with you, obviously, is this Chris' first appearance on the Power Hour, Lee?
No.
It's not his first appearance. Okay. Well, for people who don't know and are not too familiar with you, just talk about your background as far as a racer, in jumping into Nitro Funny Car.
So my background, obviously, I'm a firefighter. That's my real job. And I race as much as I can on a limited budget. But racing, I started out as a crew guy and worked my way up through alcohol and started hanging around the Nitro pits and got the itch to be a driver because I saw, how exciting it was and how cool it was. And I always thought that I could do it. So after learning how to run alcohol cars, I went to Frank Hawley's, got licensed in Super Comp. And then from there, jumped right into the alcohol car and got my license in the alcohol funny car, and then started racing alcohol, and then always had that little desire to run Nitro. So I did everything in my power to hook up with the right people and make my dreams come true, and licensed in a Nitro funny car with Paul Richards Racing. And then the rest is history. Here we are trying to compete against the big boys now.
And Chris, explain to everyone just how challenging it is to compete with the big boys, because, I think back to Topeka where I saw you in competition, and it was so close to having an opportunity to make that field. But with everything involved in your program, unlike the big boys, it became a little bit of a snag to not make the field with the big boys. And just how what's the gap? Fill us in of what it is like.
So it's definitely the David versus Goliath syndrome. I mean, I'm out here running an extremely limited schedule with a budget that's pretty much non-existent and a parts inventory that, most guys carry more parts in their trucks at the races than I have in my entire inventory. But, it's hard to get out here, which is why the car counts are down and all that. And the prices have gotten so out of control with parts and all that. But the addiction level of driving these cars and being part of the NHRA family and being around guys like you and the fans, and it makes you want to do it. And the desire to succeed is there. People tell me I can't do things, which motivates me to do it even more. So I'm out here working my tail off. And as you can see, we're at the shop in Omaha right now, getting the car prepped for St. Louis. So we got out here today and we're finishing things up. We'll be back on the road tomorrow morning driving to St. Louis. So, long nights, long days, lots of time off away from the family to make my dreams come true. But I have a huge network of support from my family and friends and, some small sponsors that help us out, Comp Products and Howard's Cams are huge for us. And that's why we're out here. So, it's the ultimate, I would say, put your mind to accomplish your dreams and you'll be surprised what happens. And, as Lex June always says, never quit. You got to have that mentality and anything's possible. Follow your dreams, follow your goals, do what you want to do because life is short and you might as well enjoy it.
And obviously, like you said, you're working real hard, to live out your dream. And you're living a dream right now, driving a Nitro funny car in the NHRA. Obviously, with a small team. But when you look back to Charlotte this past weekend, you see all the upsets you saw in the first round of competition with, Terry Haddock taking out Chad Green or Alex Laughlin taking out John Force and so on, so forth and so on. Does that give you a little extra motivation? Like, hey, I can come out here and run with the big dogs.
100%. And like you were saying, Dave Richards beat Ron Capps first round and then end up racing after the second round. So, we're very close to running with these guys. Obviously, we can't put our tune up on kill every lap, but we're right there. And our program has increased, in its performance in the last few races until we had the parts failure, which set us back a little bit. But looking at the computer and looking at what we're learning, we're creeping up on it and we're going to be right there. We missed qualifying by a couple thou and, part of that's driver error. And part of that's, a little bit of tune up miss, but we're getting to the point now where I can stay in it the whole length of the track without lifting early to save parts. And, we can get after it a little bit more, but, as a smaller team, we run as hard as we are able to, which puts us at an advantage on a marginal track where the big guys have to detune or change their setups. And that gives us the advantage because they'll go out and blow the tires off or something will happen and we're right there for the picking. So if they're not on 100%, flawless run, we're going to be right there to beat them.
Well, being right there to beat them, when you do beat them, you're doing it in one heck of a good-looking funny car. Let's give opportunity to, again, talk about Howard's cams, competition products, and this livery designed by the son of a well-known funny car racer.
Yeah, that's a really cool story, Lee. I was scrolling through social media and I saw some car renderings that a kid did, and I didn't even pay attention to whose name it was. It was just, something that caught my eye. So I reached out, and it was kind of weird how it all played out. I asked them, would you be interested in doing some renderings for me? I'm trying to get some sponsors. And Jason was like, yeah, I'll do that. And, I paid him some money to do a couple car renderings, and he ended up designing this car for Howard's cams. And when I showed them, they instantly fell in love with it. And that's why we got the car and the sponsorship opportunity that we have with them, because they were impressed with his work. So it turns out a couple weeks go by, I'm talking to Jason and I start looking at his social media, and I noticed this kid lives in California. His last name's Beckman. I'm like, oh, well, Jack's in California. I know he's got a kid that plays hockey. So I did a little bit of digging, and lo and behold, it's Jack Beckman's son, Jason. And it's a cool tie-in because Jack Beckman has always been a very influential person in my racing career. Always had time to talk to me, offer me driving suggestions. When I was going for my license in Charlotte, he was over in my trailer when we were running alcohol, telling me what to expect and that I could do this no problem, and just like a big cheerleader. So Jack has been involved in my racing and a friend of mine for a long time. So when Jason got involved, it was just kind of like full circle that everything worked out, and Jack was back in my life. Now Jason's in my life, and Jason's got a job now as a graphic designer for a pretty big company out there. So he's working and he's following his dreams. So it's really cool, people helping people and how doors open up and come full circle. So pretty cool story.
That is cool. I had no idea about that, Lee. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And so, Chris, obviously, the end goal, I guess, for any driver in the NHRA Tour is to run the full series, be competitive, run for championships and everything like that. Well, one of the biggest things is chasing corporate America and finding marketing partners. Obviously, you have two great partners, like you said, with competition products and Howard Cams, but just talk about how tough it is to kind of go out there and chase corporate America to try to find those marketing partners to come and help you guys out to, step up your program.
Man, we could spend hours on this one, Darren. It's so cutthroat out there. Man, it's brutal. It's very disheartening a lot of times because you work really hard making connections, and the next thing you know, someone comes in and cuts your legs out and takes your deal. So that happens a lot, unfortunately, and I understand. I'm a small guy, don't have any championships or wins under my belt, but even John Force started out as a small guy in the same situation I'm in right now, and look at him now. So the corporate dollars are really hard to get now, especially with the way the economy is. But you got to have a personality. You got to have a personal story. And I think a lot of people are missing the opportunity with us because I am the average Joe, guy that comes from nothing out here running against the big dogs. A lot of these guys, this is their job and their career. But I work, a full-time job. My crew guys all have full-time jobs, and we're trying to do this because we love racing. And if it ever transpired to grow into a situation where we could race full-time, I would love that opportunity. But, without sponsorships, it's darn near impossible to do. And it's just very tough. There's so many angles to come at. And like I said, you think you have an in, and the next thing you know, you're forgotten about. And then you see what you were working on in somebody else's car, and they're doing everything that you wanted to do, but just without you. So it kind of hurts when you see that, but it motivates me more to succeed and do better because, I'm up for the challenge. But every day we spend on the computer researching companies and doing things and trying to bring new blood into the sport because Without that, we're not going to grow. So, I mean, it's frustrating. It's challenging. It's hard, but it's a necessary evil. I wish I could afford a full-time marketing guy like the big teams have, but I do all that stuff myself, along with all the logistical stuff with the race team. Since I'm the owner, I got to do all the travel plans. I mean, everything. My plate's so full right now, it's overwhelming, but I'm here doing it because I love it.
And you mentioned it's cutthroat. You know, it's interesting that you said that, because I've heard that plenty of times out here. And one moment that comes to mind right now is Daryl Gwynn was telling us how he had, after the Yankees deal was gone, he was trying to bring AT&T into the sport. And so AT&T was thinking about hopping onto his program, and he just said they brought some AT&T associates out to the racetrack, and he was just introducing them to other drivers to say, hey, they're looking to get into drag racing and everything like that. Well, Daryl didn't know that, that other drivers were going to, go under him and try to basically steal it away from him. And so that just goes to show how really cutthroat it is out here in NHRA drag racing as far as sponsorship.
Everybody's looking for that dollar. And I'm not going to say any names, but when I made my pro debut in 2021, I went around and introduced myself to a lot of the teams and drivers. And the number one question I got before anybody asked anything about me was, where are you getting your money from? And I'm like, well, I don't have any money, honestly. I'm self-funded. And, they kind of looked at me like, okay. And then, we started talking about other stuff, and they all warmed up to me. But it's interesting because everybody's curious where your money's coming from and how you're doing it. And I'll be honest, I don't have any money. My operation shows it, but we look professional. We have quality parts. The small amount of parts that we do have are good things. And I've aligned myself with good people. So, we get by with the little budget we have, but someday it'll turn into a big budget, and then you'll see us up there winning races and maybe fighting for a championship.
So Darren mentioned this question to me before show. Andrew actually throws it out, and well, Darren, myself, I think just about everybody, we are kind of bewildered that how Fire Department Coffee didn't sponsor Chris is still confusing. And not just Fire Department Coffee, but just like, you're a firefighter. There are things within the safety world that just make sense to be connected with you, and yet that dot's not connected. I mean, look, I'm so grateful you got Howard Cams and Competition Products supporting you, but like, fire stuff would make so much more sense.
Yeah, that's man, I gotta watch my words on that one. That's a sore subject with yeah, that, man, how do I even do this without sinking myself? That was my deal since 2016. Friends with Luke, the owner of the company, and talked to him a lot about getting involved, and was promised that when they were at the point they were going to get involved, and yada, yada, yada. Fast forward to beginning of the year, phone calls were made, Zoom meetings were supposed to happen, proposals were given, and then next thing I know, things are signed and they got a deal, and they didn't tell me about it. And then basically everything that I wanted to do as the fireman is being done, and all the recognition, all the stuff at the midway, everything from my proposal word for word is being done. I got excluded from it. So that's a very sore subject, and it hurt. It really did. I was really discouraged, and I wanted to just throw myself in a corner and quit and say the hell with it. But I don't know, things happen for a reason, and maybe it wasn't meant to be. So, but that stuff happens with lots of teams everywhere, and I don't try to take it personally, but it's hard not to. But whatever.
It's certainly cutthroat. I've heard of this deal, that deal, and deals go down and deals not go down, and this deal winds up over here, or this deal winds up with NHRA instead of a team. And it is all across the board, and it is, as you said, cutthroat. And it's even cutthroat in the media world, isn't it, Darren?
It really is. It really is. But I got to say, though, Chris, when that deal went down, and I know, like you said, I know it's a sore subject, but I saw your disappointment on social media, and I just really appreciated it, because it just showed, your passion and how bad you want to be out here in race. And so, and I want to say thank you for just always keeping it real. And that's what we love to see. We want to see drivers with personality. We don't like the cookie cutter, sponsored, all this stuff, stick to the status quo. I like a driver who, tells it like it is and say what's on their mind.
Yeah, I kind of got yelled at actually, and I didn't even think I said anything horrible. I just called them out on it, with facts. But they didn't like it, and they called me and said I was unprofessional and blah blah blah. But since then we've talked a couple times, and I think the water's a little smoother than it was, but there's still some friction there. But like you guys said earlier, there's so many ties with this whole fire thing and safety thing, and there's so many companies involved. It's just I don't get why they don't make the connection either. I'm trying to do everything on my end, and I think I represent a good product and a good story, and it's just hard, man. I don't know what else to say about it. It's hard to do. I just wish that I could get that break to show people what we're capable of. But I reached out to fire truck manufacturers, Wheelan Safety, which is a company that makes sirens and lights. I've reached out to all the different companies that do extrication tools that are sponsored with NHRA, and I get the cold shoulder or no emails back, or I get the blocker that says thanks but no thanks. So you can't give up. And I reach out to people every day trying to do things, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I guess it's God's will. But that's the part of the business that really discourages you. But when you're strapped into that car and you stomp on that pedal, you forget about all that and just smile until you get the bill for the parts you wrecked. Then you cry.
Hey, it is amazing where things come from. They seem to come out of left field, but yet they make sense. I mean, just think how important a rendering is today with your story of showing what it could look like, and a sponsor being able to visualize their name on a car and see it. It is so important. I have told drivers that I've worked with, you got to have a good rendering to send to these people to give them an idea of what they are looking at. And you're definitely a testimony to that.
Absolutely. Here she is right now. She's tucked away in the trailer, taking a nap, getting ready for St. Louis. We loaded her up about a half hour ago. So, yeah, the car's beautiful. I get complimented all the time about how nice it looks. And, Jason did a kick-ass job with the rendering. It's an old Dodge Gen 1 body. I wish I had a newer, more modern body. It's tough to see out of, but it looks damn nice in photos and on TV. And that's all that matters for the sponsors, is that we look good. So I'm happy. It could be worse. I could be, sitting at home watching it on TV, but instead I'm out here driving these things. So I guess I can't complain too much.
That's true. That's true. So in particular, St. Louis this weekend, I think there are 18 cars entered. What are the realistic goals for you and your team this weekend when you look back at Topeka and Brainerd? How can the team move forward? What's on the checklist?
Well, we definitely made some mistakes in the past and have learned substantially from those mistakes. So with this new motor combination that's in the car, obviously Q1 is going to be a half track shut off just to get data and make sure everything is right. And then we're going to throw the world at it for Q2 and 3 to get in the show. Our car is capable of running better than it has, and we're very much in a learning state of this operation. Terry's a dragster guy, and he's learning funny car. He's doing a great job with this car and picking up on it quick. But, there's a couple things that we were a little off on, and we learned from it. And, we're bringing in some other people to help out and help straighten this thing out a little bit. So our goal is to qualify for the race. That's my number one goal, first of all, because I need the money from NHRA for qualifying. But it just shows that we do have the performance and the ability. And that's huge to me. I want to look good and let people know that I belong out here, that I'm not just some guy out kicking the rods out and starting on fire and just making a fool of myself. So the goal is to get down the track, to qualify, and represent my sponsors to the best of my ability. And, this is a side note, but it's also my goal to run decent so Tony Pedregon doesn't have anything bad to say about me, since it does on the TV show anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lee, I don't even know what to say. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Oh man. Chris, that was good. Thank you for that.
Well, I mean, I don't know what what Tony has against me, but every interview I've ever done with him at PRI, and every time he gets a chance to talk about me on TV, it's like never anything encouraging or positive. It's just always pointing out bad things or, undermining what we're doing. And it makes it tough because the sponsors watch that stuff and then they hear it and fans hear it and my phone blows up. Dude, you got roasted on Fox. I'm like, yeah, thanks for telling me. It's bad enough that I blew my shit up. Oh, sorry. Bad enough I blew my car up. But, now I got to get beat up on TV, too, in front of 1 million viewers. But I don't know. It is what it is. I take it all in stride. I'll bust chops just like the best of them. And, whatever.
Hey, but Chris, man, you're out here, you're driving a Nitro funny car, you're getting the job done, you're working hard. And I'll tell you what, despite whatever Tony says or anything like that, I personally, I don't watch the Fox shows. I watch on NHRA.tv. So I haven't heard anything he said. I have to go back and listen. But, for me, I know at least I love, you're more in the Midwest, but I love when I'm out at Pomona and I see a Jason Rupert or a Steven Densham or a Jeff Deal comes out, the smaller teams. And I always love to root for them. And so, definitely root for a guy like you who's trying to, make a living out here, living the dream, running with the big dogs in the NHRA. Can you talk a little bit about the fanfare? Because I feel like the fans also love a good underdog story as well.
The fans are phenomenal. Like you said, the underdog stories, I wish NHRA would give us a little help, show our cars a little bit more. Don't cut us out of the qualifying show. Don't cut us out of interviews. Even when a little guy loses, or I'm sorry, when a little guy wins, they still don't interview him. So we need the help from the network and from NHRA to get our names out there. But the fans, they get it. So the acceptance and the exposure, the fans, I mean, we get such a warm welcome and everybody comes over and wants to shake my hand and say, hey, it's really cool you're a fireman. Hey, I'm a fireman. Or, we love your story. We're so happy you're out here. It's so cool you're out here. The fans are amazing. And that's part of the addiction too. Like I spend a lot of time talking to fans, let them sit in my car. If someone wants to sign my car, if they're a first responder or a veteran, come up and sign your name on my car. It's part of the thing that I enjoy a lot about being out here is talking to the fans and meeting new people, meeting friends. And a couple of them actually have become crew members. So it's really cool. The fans are amazing. And I just wish that excitement and stuff carried over to all aspects of it. But, it's cool. It's really, really cool.
Chris, you're a cool dude, and I look forward to seeing you and the team and the operation, which is cool, at St. Louis. Darren, where will you be?
Next race for me actually will be Las Vegas, the penultimate race of the NHRA season. Obviously, I'm going to Bakersfield in a few weeks, but NHRA, I will be back in Las Vegas and In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip. So I will be at the racetrack again this year, Lee. So you're trying to put me on the spot.
So you're not going to be at St. Louis?
I will not be in St. Louis.
All right. Well, Chris, he can write something for you from afar, okay? I'm going to go ahead and throw him out on that. So
I'm a good writer,
We'll
Chris.
chat with you, okay?
I'm a good writer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, we're hitting St. Louis, and I'm probably going to try to convince Terry to go to Dallas. I think that'd be a cool race. As long as we're running well, maybe we'll add a couple more. Or if we get some sponsor help, maybe we'll run the rest of the season. But it all depends. It's parts and money, and we'll see how things go. But for right now, for sure, St. Louis, maybe a couple more. We'll see.
All right. I like the sound of that. Now, before we do let you go, we've done all this talk about marketing and partnerships, it being cutthroat, all of that. Whenever your season comes to an end this year, what does it look like to make next year that much greater? What's the plans? What do you already have in the works? What are you trying to work out? Like, just how big is PRI to a guy like you? Those type of things.
PRI is big, but you don't go to PRI to secure your sponsorships. You go there just to meet and network people. You should already have stuff done prior to PRI and have your foot in the door. PRI is cool because you meet a lot of people, see the new products, and just kind of tighten up those relationships. My plans are, as of right now, since we don't have any major commitments or any really big irons in the fire, is kind of status quo. We want to freshen up the car, freshen up the parts, increase our inventory of quality parts, and bring on some good crew guys that are going to be more consistent, because we have a lot of different guys at different races, but I want to get some guys that are more consistent, which will help the consistency of the car then. So we're just going to improve the program. And if I'm in the same boat next year as this year, I hope to run 5 to 6 races minimum, and then, ruin someone's day, hopefully at a couple of them. But, I'm working constantly to try to find the bigger, better deals. And, Comp Products and Howard's Cams is going to stay involved because they've been involved with me for years, even in the alcohol car. So, things stay status quo. We're still racing. So we'll be out there.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there, Chris. Keep up the good work and, put the fires out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's lots of those lately. It's crazy busy at the firehouse. So, the world's going crazy. And unfortunately, everybody calls the fire department for any little problem they got. But we're there when you need us. That's what it says on the door.
Right. We could do a whole episode, I imagine, of crazy calls.
Man, I could write a book on some of the stuff I've seen. It's unbelievable. If you can imagine it, it's happened. I've seen it or had to deal with it. So, yeah, we'll talk about it at St. Louis. It's probably not PG enough for the radio show.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Definitely, we'll do that. Looking forward to see you there at St. Louis. Looking forward to see you qualify for the show. Have a good night, man.
Thanks, man. We're going to try our best, and thanks for the support. Darren, take care, buddy, and we'll see you.
All right, thanks, Chris.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
I like that Peak jam.
I know, I like it.
Yeah,
it's good.
I like it.
Hey, Lee, I really have to get to a race that Chris is at because I feel like it'd be cool to just sit down after qualifying with Chris, me, you, Chris, just sit down, anybody else, and just hear Chris tell stories because that man can tell a good story. And
he's a
keeps
cool
it real.
dude, and honestly, hangs out with some cool people. Like he kept saying Terry. Well, he's referring to Terry Totten, and Terry Totten's a pretty cool dude in his own right. Like, you may think, oh, he doesn't talk much. You get Terry going, he talks just fine. I've had him on my show a couple of times. I'm like, he's not shutting up. He just keeps going and going, and he tells a good story. He's very animated. He'll tell you like it is. There are some neat people in the Nitro ranks that, like Chris said, doesn't get a lot of exposure. But you and I are part of a entity in the place where you can believe what you read on the internet, competitionplus.com, that does cover such people. There is a Peak Pit Note with Chris on the YouTube channel, and there's articles for Chris on competitionplus.com and beyond with very such competitors out there in the NHRA ranks.
Hey, I'm about to be an instigator right now. I'm sorry. Just do it. What does Tony Petragon be saying? That's what I want to know.
Well, I don't know exactly
I had no
what
idea.
Chris is referring to because I don't get to watch a lot of the Fox broadcasts or NHRA.TV either because I'm at a drag race most of the time elsewhere covering matters. But yeah, there have been times Tony has said something. I'm like, wow, man, he's scolding them. Interesting at times.
Kind of like when Cruz is on TV, and every time John would come up, it'd be like, "Oh shoot, there's still some animosity right there."
There is. Don't you love it though? To this day, John Force and Cruz Petragon, they line up. It's a show every time.
It is.
We can expect a little like they respect each other immensely. We know that, but like you can expect a little bit of push and shove. It's so good to see.
If you go back and watch when Cruz was on ESPN, like in 01, it was like 01, or 2000, or it was 01, 01. He was not shy about saying you could tell he wanted Force to lose whenever it came to the start line. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
That was pretty funny.
Darren, we're getting toward the end of the show, but there's still a whole lot to talk about in drag racing. Still in the NHRA, we can talk Nitro Chaos, SIFCA, NMRA. There is a lot still to talk about. How about we dive into the whole Tony Stewart matter?
Let's do it. And I know you did your research on that matter. And yeah, so obviously great Friday night session. Obviously for Julie Natus, 5:12, and you come back 5. Yeah, yeah, nothing to sneeze about, right? 5:12. Like I can't. I heard a joke. Somebody sent me a text of like maybe NHRA needs to go over there and check out, see what they're doing over there with that 5:12. But obviously we came back the next day.
What?
No, but you got it. No, what's up? You got it. I was joking, but you got it.
Go ahead.
We came back the next day and and obviously NHRA didn't really say this, I believe, over the PA or anything like that. I think we had to go on actual NHRA.racer.com to see what was going on. But yeah, Tony Stewart, points leader coming in, was disqualified from the event, thrown out. And I know you have a lot more. I know you've actually talked to Rich McPhillips on the matter and give us some insight on what actually happened.
Yeah, I reached out to Rich McPhillips Jr. in particular, and not the day of. I've gave it some time. In particular, what I asked him, because in all of the bandwagon articles out there that something with Tony Stewart happening, they pump an article out, even though they haven't said a word about Top Alcohol Dragster at any other point in the existence of their, rag. Well, no one said anything about whether they had to claim the event or not.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't, right?
So, for example, and the reason why I was wondering, didn't know, not sure, and it was important, obviously he's in this championship battle. He did come in as the points leader. Julie has now retaken the points lead. But, for example, if you're in Top Dragster and the index is a 6 flat, if I remember correctly, if you go 599, you are out of the event and you are forced to claim it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in a situation where when was the last time a car in alcohol dragster was DQ'd from the event? Like, I'm going to have to reach out to Bob Fry on that one. I have no clue who that would be or when that was. And because of the nature of Top Alcohol, it probably wasn't even a news blurb. But because of Tony Stewart, we have this situation arise where it becomes a major, big issue, and he is, yes, disqualified. Well, they don't have to claim it, but it is a loss of a race within the quota. So he's got less to work with, even if he didn't have to claim the points.
Mm-hmm.
So that may have some big implications going down the line if he wanted another national event.
Yeah.
Okay. Did not have to claim it, so he doesn't take a 0 to his tally, but he does lose a race to his quota.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So have you read the comments on like competitionbluffs.com and the article on like Facebook? And
I have not.
Let me tell you, the brightest minds have come out on social media and made comments on this matter. The brightest of minds have made comments. It is absolutely astounding how asinine people truly can be in a situation like this. All right. First of all, Tony Stewart drives in a McPhillips Racing Top Alcohol Dragster. It is not a Tony Stewart Nitro car. It is a McPhillips racing car. It is not associated directly with Matt Hagan, Leah Pruitt, and the TSR program. Therefore, it is also not directly associated with the Tony Stewart Racing Sprint Car team. It is also not directly associated with Stewart Haas Racing. It is amazing to me the dots people will create and then try to string the red line of conspiracy to. Oh, I had one guy today. He dropped a link to Stewart Haas and the infraction they had with the air ducts earlier this year that NASCAR confiscated and said, oh, look, here's proof of he's a cheater, and here you go over here in McPhillips. Oh, my goodness.
So Lee, you bring that up. Tell everybody who probably don't know what part led them to being thrown out of the race.
All right. So, and that can be found. We got the news blurb from the NHRA, and it said ignition part or ignition system. Okay.
Yes.
Well, later on, competitionplus.com and elsewhere, it comes out with a statement from McPhillips Racing that this had to do with the magnetos. Okay. Apparently, they're over a limit. And I've had it explained to me, and putting all the dots together from Rich McPhillips, Tony Samsel, and others, that where they got them from was a Pro Mod team that had switched over their program to a different ignition system. In that class, you can modify those type of things. In Top Alcohol Dragster, you can't. So, unaware, it seems like the McPhillips camp bought good to them, used magnetos, and from what I understand, the way it said that magnetos are good for like life almost is that the thought and how it was explained. And they put it on the car, and they were a bit hot. They were putting out more amps, apparently, which it comes from a group of people that was okay to do. And then goes to a group that was not okay to do. It was also explained to me that this was not an isolated check. Apparently, this was random let's check mags week at the NHRA, because Tony's car was checked, but so was Julie's car. Not only that, after round one, apparently the Samsel's ride and Madison Payne's ride was checked. It also was mentioned to me that some fuel cars were checked. So this is not an isolated, we're just checking the McPhillips ride.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt Cummins is also a part of that McPhillips Racing team. And I was curious. I was like, I wonder if they had any problems with that as well, because I'm pretty sure they used the same amount of parts and pieces as well.
That's possible that they use the same parts and pieces, but maybe not the same used parts from this particular team.
True.
And again, from what I got, there was no animosity. It's like, we just didn't think there was an issue. It truly seems that it is a mistake.
Yeah.
But it is still a mistake breaking the rule. Therefore, the NHRA enforces a rule. That's the situation. There doesn't seem to be any malice. Doesn't seem to be any conspiracy. Doesn't seem to anybody trying to go out of their way to get anything against Tony. I mean, the people out there formulating the thought of, oh, this is the NHRA trying to get at Tony. Like, no, if anything, they would want Tony to win this thing.
Exactly. Exactly. To be honest with you, I was actually surprised they threw him out of the race. Honestly, I thought this could have been a situation. Oh, we'll kind of turn a blind eye to it, But maybe just for this race, but clean it up at the next race. But the fact that they threw him out, you got to give it to him.
Now, I will say there are some procedure matters through this that I think have come to light, and that's happened elsewhere in rule infractions. For example, we had the situation with the center line. And black and white, at one time, it was cross, but you could touch it.
Yeah.
Now it is if you touch it.
Yeah.
So this might even be one of those situations where it comes to light and there's further clarifying after it. But again, I can't remember the last time that a Top Alcohol Dragster was DNQ'd before qualifying. And I can't remember even it. I don't remember the last time it happened in the pro ranks either. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't recall the last time that it's happened.
JR Todd last year at Topeka. Remember the degree on the header was a little off?
That was elimination.
Yeah, you're right.
This is qualifying. Again, so it also makes you wonder. I never got a clarification from Rich on this, but that last qualifying session got canceled. He said this check took place Saturday morning, if I remember correctly. So if things weren't canceled, could he have got that run in to qualify? I also find it interesting that in a DNQ or disqualified situation, excuse me, DQ'd situation, that the ladder shifts because it was solely a 16-car field. It's what it was going to be because there was only 16 cars that attempted to qualify. With him being disqualified, it made it a 15-car field, but they shifted the entire ladder up, so to speak, and Julie got the round one bye.
Oh.
Which I did not know that was a procedure because the NHRA does not put alternates in.
Yeah.
If you qualify,
well, alternates. There's no alternates for the pro categories, though, correct?
The same way in.
It's same way in alcohol too.
From what I understand, now
Okay.
Regional can be a different story.
Okay.
That can happen. So again, there are some interesting. There's more procedure to this than I realized. Type of matter in the NHRA of when they shift ladders. I don't think I've ever seen them shift a ladder like this. Usually, if a guy cannot make round one or they're qualified and they broke, that's a spot open.
Mm-hmm.
Like they earned their spot, but if they can't answer the call, well, you earned your round one bye.
Well, I think it's a situation of, say it was, for example, hey, we had a big fire or something the night before and, we can't make the call. Well, you keep your spot. You just can't make the run. But I think in this situation, since it is a disqualification or you're thrown out of the race, it's like, well, hey, you didn't even make a time. So you're not even here on the deal.
It's like you didn't even come on the property.
Yeah, you didn't even come.
And that's why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But for everyone out there that thinks the NHRA has something out on Tony or the, I don't know, even trying to favor Julie or,
Lee, you know what it is, right?
What?
This is NHRA's get back for the Pro Superstar Shootout, man. This was all about. This was all about, man. That's why. This is what all about.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah, this
that's
payback.
No,
payback.
I think
I'm
connecting
joking.
those type of dots is absolutely ridiculous. And
I'm
I would say if it was a situation where the McPhillips car, in particular Tony, was the only one that was checked, you could possibly say that. But it's been clear to me that they were not the only one checked. It apparently seems like it was NHRA, let's check, Magneto's week.
Yeah, and obviously I'm just joking. But yeah, obviously a tough break for Tony Stewart because he's in the run for the championship. And like you said, he doesn't have to claim points, but that he does lose a race in his quota. So we'll see. Do they add an extra race to the schedule now or what national events do they show up to now? So pretty interesting to see, but you got to give credit though for Julie Natus and the whole Randy Meyer racing team for stepping up to the plate and rising to the occasion and going out 5-12 and qualifying number one and winning the race and taking back the points lead. Got to give credit where credit is due.
You do. You have to give credit to her because there have been times this year where there have been big moments and she has nailed it and made the most of it. And then there's been big moments and she has absolutely fluked in that moment. So continue to build confidence, continue to go deeper in the year. What Julie are we going to get in critical times? This was a critical time. They made the most of it. U.S. Nationals, that was a critical time. And she could have got a little bit more out of it, but she red lit.
Yeah, man, it's a tough game out here. Coming down to the end of the wire, last few races of the season, the intensity's up, the pressure's ratcheting up, man. And it's sometimes the pressure gets to you, but hey, it's gonna be a great battle right towards the end. And hey, there's still other guys out there that have thoughts they can win this championship as well. So it's gonna go right down to the wire for this top alcohol dragster championship. And obviously, funny cars, it's a battle in that class too.
It is a battle in that class. Again, Doug Gordon certainly looks like a favorite. Hey, Phil Ez, congratulations to Phil Ez.
Yes.
First ever national event win earlier this year at Norwalk. He had his first ever round win at a national event, a McKinney car, by the way. He gets the win over another McKinney car in Sean Bellemere. It snaps a round win record of like 24 straight round wins at ZMAX for the Killer Bees. But Phil Ez gets his first ever national event win, and they have turned around. That program is coming on strong. He picked up about 2 weeks ago a Midwest drag racing win, and he has gone rounds at national events and in regionals. His program has picked up here lately.
No, for sure. It was a really cool deal. You think about it. Bellomir's been on a roll ever since before Indy. Like, he's been coming on strong. He's like, we're not going to let Deb Gordon win this championship too easily. And so I had Bellamir penciled in on winning another race, but Phil S steps up. He gets the win. And you always love to see the underdog get the win in any class. Doesn't matter if it's top fuel funny car, top alcohol dragster, or top alcohol funny car. So congratulations to Phil Ez. And it was a cool win as well. And a nice looking race car as well that Phil Ez has.
It is. It is a good looking race car. And Ultrasonic, that is his company, and it is parts cleaner. You throw them in, it's ultrasonic, it cleans parts. So if you need something for cleaning parts, there you go.
Love this comment from Andy Bacon. He says, you can get a road bit from NHRA. I have one. It's not expensive.
Yeah, and you can also see things online.
That is true. That is true.
But rules usually don't come up until there is a situation in which they are enforced, and it creates confusion around how they are enforced. Mm-hmm. Just like the center line issue. At one time, you could touch it. Now that's been changed. You cannot touch it. Mm-hmm. It was crossing, which is almost semantics, but crossing is crossing, and not just touching. So that has been changed. So in this situation, they were in a situation where over the tolerances, they got hit, and the NHRA dealt with it. If anything, I think it shows that the NHRA is going to stick by their rules. Because if there's anybody right now that you would give a little room to fudge, why not Tony Stewart?
I said that earlier. I was very surprised when I heard that they actually got thrown out of the event. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Now, again, I don't know. I don't even know how to find this information. But when was the last time someone was disqualified from an event? Like, period. I don't recall. But especially top alcohol dragster.
You know who got axed, right?
Dave W. might know.
That's what I was gonna say. David Wesolowski. We gotta ask him because he would know.
Might have that information.
Yes. I wonder if he's watching right now.
He could be. He might be searching right now.
Did you see old Jim Head's 1991 Top Fuel dragsters up for sale?
I did not.
Yeah, really good looking race car too. Yeah.
Look, to close out the Tony Stewart thing, if you're a conspiracy theorist, stop. There is no conspiracy around this. It's very clear from the McPhillips camp that this was something they were unaware of. They purchased mags from a reputable team that apparently had made some modifications that within their rule set it was okay, but not within that of top alcohol dragster. Mm-hmm. And this seems to be a random NHRA spot check, which NHRA does. They have the right to do. And it was more than just Tony's car that was checked, but Tony's car in particular, which is a McPhillips racing car and not a Tony Stewart racing car, not connected to the sprint car, not connected to the Nitro team, and not connected to the NASCAR team's car, that was found to be not within the parameters, and the NHRA enforced the rules.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, no malice, no harm, no foul. Everybody makes mistakes. It was a simple mistake, and they'll get it fixed. And we'll see Tony Stewart back out there with Rich McPhillips, and back out there strong sometime soon.
Yes, for sure. We're going to see that. And we're going to see the continuation of a great points battle in the NHRA in that class. Honestly, I love all the attention that Top Alcohol Dragster is getting this year. With Angel coming in, with Tony being in already, the championship battle that is between him and Julie. And let's not count out some of the other competitors that could come on strong toward the end of the year. It's not done.
Mm. And I think you have a lot of credit for that too, Lee. All the the type of press and everything that Top Alcohol and Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Cars getting this year. You're doing a great job of covering the alcohol classes. But obviously, with the Tony Stewart deal, he's a big name. I understand that he's a legend in the world of motorsports, not just NASCAR, but in motorsports. He's a motorsports icon. But for other people out there, other news outlets out there that cover motorsports, Tony Stewart is not the only story. Like a kick in the tires, there are other drivers out here and other great storylines that you can cover other than Tony Stewart. So just want to say
right. You mentioned kicking the tires. I don't know if I've seen them mention anything about alcohol at any other time this year.
Exactly.
But yet they put something out about the Tony Stewart situation. And that was not what they were typically covering from the NHRA. They were more focused on the professional classes.
Yeah.
By the way, then they don't bother to mention who won in Top Alcohol Dragster and that there was a point
Exactly.
shift and lead change. And that's what frustrates me is, you just want to tell this one portion of the story for clickbait. No.
Yeah. If you're going to cover drag racing, cover it right, please, because there's other great storylines out there other than Tony Stewart. Like I said, Tony Stewart, he's the motorsports icon, but don't just cover it when something negative happens of him getting thrown out of the race. There's other great 300 to the 8th. I know they did a story on that, but there's other good news out there you can cover about drag racing.
If Tony goes on and wins this championship, and he very well might, the McPhillips racing team, they know how to get the job done. And Tony Stewart is one of the best natural drivers, well, probably ever.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
Facts. But if he goes out here and wins this championship, he needs to get all the accolades and all the titles and all the headlines that are due to him. But if Julie Natus or if it's Joey or if it's Cowie win it, and it is titled something like Stewart loses to Natus or Stewart falls in championship, Cowie wins, I'm blasting those outlets. I am. I will share. I will blast. I will. It's no.
I got you. I agree. Hey, Lee, before we end off the show, man, there were some champions crowned this past weekend out at Pine Valley Raceway in Lufkin, Texas. Nitro Chaos season finale. Gary Wheeler Jr. in the Grand Prix Racing frontage and top field dragster got the championship over Megan Meyer. Man, you were there on the property, final race of the season. Fill us in, man.
Let me say this. Going into the event, we were not sure what to expect because one, Nitro Chaos had never been the Pine Valley Raceway. Funny Car Chaos had, but this was not an original scheduled event. There was a schedule change. Pine Valley Raceway becomes the championship finals for Nitro Chaos. It worked out being a great event. The house was packed Saturday night, a good crowd, people milling around, enjoying the pits, and the food vendors, they had long lines. The stands were packed. People were enjoying a night out at the drag races in East Texas. It proved to be a tricky track, though. There were so many people that were having a very challenging time hooking their car up, not because the track was bad. I was not getting that information that, the track is not in good shape or the track is not able to hold what we're putting down. It's a situation of we're not finding the track. The track is there. We haven't found it. Maybe even an underestimating is what I continued to get from the competitors. One individual who did not underestimate what was out there, that was Mitch King, number one qualifier. 340 with a 2 at 244 miles per hour and cracks into the Dove Fuels 340 club, almost gets the drum of Nitro, but that's going to go to Dale Christie Jr. for the year. So 340 club is Scott Palmer, Dale Christie Jr., and Mitch King. Pretty neat club to be a part of in Nitro Chaos world. He literally raised the roof on the property, though, because there's an awning in the center over the starter, and it had a fabric cover. And when Mitch King launched out of the left lane, he blew the awning off and just ripped it to shreds. So, yeah, they're going to have to purchase a new awning and one that is top fuel worthy after Mitch rolled through. And Mitch did go on to win the McKinney Motorsports A field. And in the B field, that's where we get our champion. As you mentioned, Gary Wheeler in the Grand Prix machine, a front engine dragster. And what I find fascinating about his championship win, Darren, is he did it without winning.
Without winning a race all year long.
Didn't win a race.
Consistency.
He made 3 finals and 1 semifinal. And everyone else was just not consistent enough to get more points than Gary Wheeler at the end of the day. So you've got tricky conditions. It was toasty. It was warm. It was humid. By the time night settled in, it did get better. But you go into eliminations, and Megan had gained a little bit of ground. 1 point. Had gained just 1 point, but she gained a little bit more, establishing furthermore in her lead, a 7 points lead going into round one. Well, Todd Bruce in the Bull, he's got an opportunity certainly to win the championship, tied with Gary Wheeler. Red lights, round one. He is very good on the lights, and he barely missed the tree. Almost near perfection, but it was on that red side instead of the green side. Out, championship contender in round one. Megan Meyer was having some fuel issues, and they were not performing what you would think they would. She qualified number 2, but yet there's more ET in that car. And in round one, she did pick up the victory, but it was a 391 pass, certainly not what they were expecting. In the semifinals, James Gilliland in the Psycho 2 fuel altered, put a hole shot on her. Megan could not catch up, and James sacrificed one to the drag racing gods, as it were. Huge fireball out of his altered. That diaper looked like the diaper of a kid that had just messed it all. It was bad, dude. It was bad. Yeah. He wanted that win light, and he got that win light, but it cost him an opportunity to go to the final round against Mitch King. Gary Wheeler, though, round by round, all the way to the final, does not win it, but he collects the most points over 4 races. Does it, mind you, in a front engine dragster.
Mm-hmm.
The rear engine cars didn't win.
So what you're saying is James kept his foot in it because not only did he want to beat Megan, but he wanted to make sure a front engine car won the championship.
Maybe so. I don't know. Maybe so. But nonetheless, there you go. Nitro Chaos and that system of run what you brung. And next year it will have the caveat that it has to be a front-driven car, funny car, front engine dragster, altered, that type of scenario. But the first year with a championship series, championship on the line, it's a front engine dragster. And mind you, a baby elephant motor. It's a 392 Hemi. It is not a big one. They got it done with a 392.
And so let me ask you, Lee, and I love a good championship battle. When Megan gets beat on a hole shot in the semifinals, you were there on the property. And obviously, I said this last week, there's nothing like a championship battle where the leader goes out and then they're on the top end or wherever they're at, and they just have to, the only thing they can do is look on and see how their fate plays out. When Gary Wheeler came to the starting line in the B field, knowing that he had to win that round to win the championship, just kind of tell us the aura in the facility, the drama, the intensity. What did it feel like when Gary Wheeler came up to the starting line, ready to win that championship?
Well, I will say when Megan did not turn on the win light, they're shocked. It's Megan Meyer. It's Randy Meyer Racing. She's a 2-time NHRA top alcohol dragster champion. She is used to winning championships. She is a winner. She intends to win. She was clear. She showed up to win the championship in Nitro Chaos and gave a good run for it and finished second in the championship standing. So, yes, shock, first and foremost. And then, yes, certainly there was the anticipation. Here comes Gary Wheeler. Can he get the round win? Can he make it where all he's got to do is stage in the final, and no matter else what happens, he has got it. It is done, and he is the champion, the first ever Nitro Chaos champion. And he rolls up and launches, and you're looking at it, and you're like, oh, I think he's got it. I think he's got it. And yes, that win light comes on. From my perspective, I was not that shocked because Gary had been consistent all year and he had made finals, okay? So for him to make another final, it didn't shock me. And they somehow found ways to rise to the occasion. They even made the most of that one time they qualified in the A field at Mocan. So they knew how to get the job done. They knew how to make the most of whatever situation was dealt to them and they were put in. And they did exactly that. Again, and when it comes to chaos, both champions this year, Funny Car Chaos, Nitro Chaos, they do not come out of the A field. Fascinating. consistency still won the day.
It's not about the fastest car. It's about the most consistent.
It is. It is.
I love you. I like it.
And you could tell, I went and interviewed Todd, though. You could tell the disappointment. They had a lot of fun. He expressed that, but you could tell he was disappointed. You could tell Megan was disappointed. These people want to win. If you think something like Nitro Chaos is just show up and have a good time, which it is, we want to have fun. It's not just that. It is, we want to win a championship. We want to win because these people are competitors.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's NHRA, PDRA. It doesn't matter if it's, your Saturday night, event at your local track. Like, you put a trophy out there and some money out there, they're going to want to win. They're competitors, and so it doesn't matter. But congratulations to Gary Wheeler Jr., a super nice guy. Like I said, Grand Prix racing, front motor, top fuel car. You can bet he's going to be a guest on Kings of the Sport coming up next week to talk about that championship in Nitro Chaos. Congratulations to him and the whole team. Yeah, look at that.
Yes, congratulations. Winning out of the CP Carrillo B field, the DMP Awnings 2023 Nitro Chaos Championship Tour presented by McKinney Motorsports. Gary Wheeler Jr. at the wheel of the Grand Prix, front engine dragster, is your first ever Nitro Chaos champion.
Hey. Love it. We got a comment here from Andrew. He says, picks for the weekend in St. Louis. I think that'd be a great way to end off the show. Talk about who he thinks is going to take home the trophy from St. Louis Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Doug Coletta.
Hey,
Doug Coletta sweeps the countdown.
Just like Steve Torrance, 2018, sweeping the countdown. I'm gonna go Antron Brown. I want to go Steve Torrance because I want to see Steve Torrance go back to back, and I want to see him, bounce back after a tough performance. But I'm gonna go Antron Brown in top fuel. Nitro funny car. I'm gonna go Ron Capps. Tough weekend out of Maple Grove. Out of Charlotte. I think Guido, he gets his car turned around. I think Ron Capps scores and win a Nitro funny car.
Ron figures out a way to bounce back.
Yeah. They're not gonna go out early 2 races in a row. Pro stock. I'm gonna go Erica Enders. We'll go Erica. I think she bounces back. I think she gets a win. I think she's motivated. And then pro stock bike, Gage Ferreira. I'm not going nobody else. I think it's Gage. Those are my picks for the weekend.
Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to go off the wall. I think St. Louis is going to prove to be a topsy-turvy event once again.
I hope so.
Again, the wildest drag race I've ever experienced in my life was St. Louis. That year with Alexa's Boomer, the top dragster wreck, and I think it was Stanfield or Kramer rolling a pro stock car, pro mods getting loose, Leah's chassis break. Just insane event. St. Louis, for whatever reason, it being where it is in the countdown and the time of year, it just seems to produce some wild results. I think Josh Hart wins.
Okay, I like it.
I think something's going to be. I think this is going to be the shakeup race. Do I think Josh Hart goes on and wins the championship? No. It'd be great to see. Josh is a great guy, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think there's going to be a shakeup this time around. So I'm going to go Josh Hart. I think Alexis DeJoria is overdue. We'll go Alexis DeJoria. Pro stock. I think Matt Hartford is so determined he comes back and he steals it and he says, no, I'm not done yet. I've got a grip on this thing.
Okay.
And no one outworks Matt Smith.
Going Matt Smith. I like it. I like the Josh Hart pick though. I like it. It's been a long time since Josh Hart's been in a winner circle. He needs a win. It just goes to show how cutthroat it is out here in the world of Top Fuel Eliminator. I like the Josh Hart pick. I dig it.
I like what Drag Racing Mayhem says. Leah gets it done 3 years after her incident. That would be an interesting storyline and springboards to a championship from a time which snapped a championship run possibly many, many years back.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Are we done?
I like that comment from DRC. Nothing much to really say about that. That was a wild ride from Leah in 2020. Man, it's funny because that year, right? It's COVID year. It's everything is it's just a weird time, right? It's just a weird time. I say, hey, I'm gonna watch Talladega first. It was the same day as Talladega. I'm gonna watch Talladega and I'm gonna record drag racing and watch it a little later. I'm watching Talladega, right? It's a caution, I think, or something like that. I go on Twitter, which I'm never on Twitter, and I see this dragster snap in half and it's flying through the air. And I'm like, yo, is this today? I flip over to Fox and it's literally on the part where Leah Pruitt is crashing. I'm like, that is amazing. And obviously a lot of, a lot of reinforced steel went into the dragsters after that, to make sure that didn't happen again. But yeah, real scary crash. Mind you, of Larry Dixon at Memphis back in 2000, again in Gainesville, 2015. We've seen different crashes like that. Tony Schumacher's had a crash like that, but that was a real wild day. And it would be cool to see Leah back in the winner's circle at the place where she had one of her most devastating wrecks.
It would be. It would be. It would be. And they certainly have the potential to do it. And they have the potential to win a championship this year. It's there. It is there. And I think St. Louis is going to be one of those races where it just seems to be, count on it being wild.
Hey, it was wild last year.
That's right.
Anything else to cover, Lee? I think we've covered a lot here on the show. We've gone 2 hours and 13 minutes. Wow.
2 hours and 13 minutes. Hey, very quickly. I know we have gone 2 hours and 13 minutes. Take some time, Darren. You're there in California. Sacramento Raceway, I believe is how it was titled, is going to be closing down as a facility, and SIFCA had their last race of the year.
Yeah, so it wasn't just SIFCA. It was actually the Governor's Cup. A Governor's Cup is a big race out here in California. It's been a race since, I think, like the 1970s or something like that. A lot of prestige, a lot of history with the race, the Governor's Cup, and it's mainly in the NHRA Hot Rod Heritage Series. And yeah, it's not the final race at Sacramento Raceway. They're going to have more races coming up later throughout the year, but it was the final Governor's Cup, as it seems like the track will be closing very soon, which is very sad. This track has been around for a long time, but cool thing about it, though, is that the owner's daughter and her husband are actually the owners of Redding Drag Strip, which is up there in Northern California as well. So the spirit of Sacramento Raceway will live on through Redding Drag Strip. But a cool event this past weekend. They had Top Fuel Dragsters out there, Brian Hall, Brendan Murray, and a match race out there in Top Fuel Dragster. And also SIFCA, the California Independent Funny Car Association, was out there. It was their final race of the season. And to no one's surprise, he gets it done in a Nitro funny car, but he also gets it done in a SIFCA funny car as well. Bobby Cottrell gets the win. And I'll tell you what, it was a great win as well. You take a look at it, how it all played out right here in the final round. Took on Rick Alvarado in the final. Rick Alvarado actually outran Bobby Cottrell in the final round. Actually left on him too, had a 008 reaction time. But here's the thing, it's a 590 index in SIFCA. He actually ran too quick, automatically giving the win to Bobby Cottrell. So great series right there. A bunch of, as you see, a lot of cool old school funny car bodies in the series. Real cool deal. And next time we'll see them back out will be the March meet in 2024. But yeah, what a great weekend this past weekend. The Sacramento Raceway. Sad to see another track go, but just the times we live in so far.
Certainly is. Certainly is. We have definitely got great facilities that we need to cherish, support. We have new ones coming, but we're losing many facilities as well. It is a fascinating time in the sport as we continue to move forward, and yet we have elements drop away.
A real sad deal. I've heard about Sacramento Raceway a lot, and I've been a lot of cool races there. Brian Hall, who runs Front Engine Top Field, told me like all the legends of drag racing used to come through there. Garlitz, Mo Downey, Perdome, Force. Everybody used to come through Sacramento Raceway back in the day. It's just that, once more tracks, better tracks start coming out and they start racing the NHRA Tour more, they stop coming. But a lot of history at that track, and sad to see it go.
For sure. Well, it's time to close this show. You've got things to do. I've got things to do. We got more drag racing to watch and cover and experience, and there is still plenty in drag racing to watch, cover, and experience. Darren, it's been good to be on the Competition Plus Power Hour with you once again.
Oh, yeah, man. This is always fun. Tuesday nights, it's the nights where you come and, hey, hang out with your boy Lee and Darren Williams Jr., talk drag racing. Man, it's crazy to see how much this show has grown, and it's going to grow a lot more throughout the future and have a lot of fun. And it's going to be fun coming on here Tuesday nights and breaking it down with you to see how this thing plays out in the Campbell World Series for the championships. We're getting down to the wire.
It's getting down to the wire. Be sure to support Darren as well when he does Inside the NHRA with David Weslowski. They are doing a great job, and the others that they have on breaking down the national events, certainly worth catching and experiencing a deep dive into what happened at whichever national event. And they'll be doing that through the countdown all the way to Pomona.
Hey, I don't know. This show might be on a Monday because I just got to be honest. Drag racing is my first favorite motorsport. I got to say, but I love me some Talladega, and Talladega's this weekend, so I might have to be like, hey, I'm gonna watch Talladega, and we'll bring you guys a show on Monday. I don't know. We have to see. I love me some Talladega.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. Hey,
4 wide, 200 miles an hour. Second race of the round of 12. It's about to be crazy.
it is Dega.
Talladega, baby.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Darren, we'll talk to you later, man.
Good night, man. Thank you, everybody.
Adios.